Thank you, Jane. Beautiful. Hello, and welcome to our service. We are the Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or RUF, in Ashland, Oregon. My name is Kate Cleland Sipfley, and I'm a part of RUF because I found that Unitarian Universalism is a faith based in living one's principles. There is no creed, rather a set of principles that captures just how I would want to see people in relationship to one another and our planet. We are so happy to welcome you to our service, both online and in person. We want to especially thank the members of the stream team who are helping make this happen for all of us, and the members of the hospitality team who welcome the on-site congregation. If you are a newcomer, we invite you to sign up for our mailing list on rvuuf.org. You will receive a weekly email that gives you all the information you need to make your decision about whether you'd like to join us on Sunday, on-site or online. You will also learn about other great things going on at RUF. We are so glad to have you with us for this service, and we invite you to join us in our mission, embracing diversity, empowering connection, and engaging in the work. We begin each service by acknowledging that our building is built on land that began as the home of the Cow Creek Umpqua, Takelma, Shasta, and Latgawa people. We remind ourselves that Indigenous people are part of our communities and continue to experience the effects of colonization. We are committed to fighting for the worth and dignity of Indigenous people, both in our community and around the world. We are also committed to work for a world in which the lives, work, bodies, dreams, and leadership of Black people are honored and respected. We do all this by putting our words, values, and principles into action every day for justice and the common good. These services are a part of that work. Welcome, and thank you for being with us. We light our chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with words by Eric A. Heller Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life.
I invite you to join in singing our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life. You'll find it as an insert in your order of service, or if you're online, the words will appear on your screen. Please rise in body or spirit as we join in song.
I'd like to introduce our guest minister, Reverend Christina Kukuk, who will tell you about our peace candle.
It's become this congregation's practice to light a candle each week for peace, and it's an honor to be able to help light that peace candle with you this morning. We take this moment to call to mind our commitment to peace of mind, peace in our homes, peace in our communities, and peace in our world. And today's words I pulled from the prophet Isaiah, who writes about a time when people will build houses and dwell in them, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. A time when the wolf and the lamb will feed together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. A time when they will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain.
Peace, shalom, shalom. Peace, shalom, shalom. Peace, shalom, shalom. Peace, shalom, shalom. To warm us up a little bit for our topic this morning, I'd like to ask, what is your favorite body part in your own body? When you watch your body move through its days, what body part of yours especially impresses you? What part are you especially proud or grateful for? And since I asked the question, I have to be willing to answer it. So I'll say that in these last few years, I've become especially impressed with my upper legs, which is not what I would have said at age 13. But I've taken up a practice of Muay Thai, a certain kind of kickboxing in the Thai tradition, and I'm pretty impressed with the strength of my upper legs. Our first story this morning, anyone else want to share? No, not really. Yeah.
My vocal cords.
Your what? Your vocal cords, absolutely. Have you ever watched video of vocal cords? They're amazing, amazing.
Lips.
Lips, yes, lips.
Eyes.
Eyes.
Hair.
Hair. Excellent, thank you. Our first story this morning comes from the reflections of a 10-year-old girl who with her family is fleeing Saigon in 1975 during the Vietnam War. She notices something interesting about the body of the sailor who helps them aboard a rescue boat. And it's hair, which we don't always in our culture take delight in. I want to read, this story is a favorite of my kids. It's a middle grades book by Tung Hai Lai. It's called Inside Out and Back Again. And this is a story of that 10-year-old's experience written in verse. For that year when her family is preparing to leave, and as they figure out their way as refugees in the United States, Alabama in particular. So this is what she writes, Golden Fuzz, and I'll come out here a little bit. I tend to like to wander. So is this okay, Allison, if I'm right here? Golden Fuzz. The family has been on a boat that is gradually running out of food and water and waiting for a rescue. And this is the experience of Golden Fuzz. Water, water, still everywhere, but in the distance appears a black dot. We are told to pack our crisscrossed packs and line up in a single file, 20 at a time board a motorboat, heading toward the dot. An arm extends to help us board, an arm hairy with fuzz. I touch it, so real and long, not knowing if I will have another chance to touch Golden Fuzz. I pluck one hair. Mother slaps my hand. Brother Quang speaks quickly in the language I must learn. The fuzzy man laughs. I'm grateful the boat starts to rock, so Mother hasn't the composure to scold me, not just yet. I roll my fuzzy souvenir between my thumb and finger and can't help but smile.
May your minds be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your hearts know love and your eyes do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
The second story I want to read this morning comes from the stories told by Jesus' followers in the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 3. The version that I'm using is called the Common English Bible. In those days, John the Baptist appeared in the desert of Judea announcing, "Change your hearts and lives. Here comes the kingdom of heaven." He was the one of whom Isaiah the prophet spoke when he said, "The voice of one shouting in the wilderness, prepare the way for the God who is, make the Holy One's path smooth." John wore clothes made of camel's hair with a leather belt around his waist. He ate locusts and wild honey. People from all around came to him as they confessed their sins. He baptized them in the Jordan River. And at that time, Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan River so that John would baptize him. John tried to stop him, said, "I need to be baptized by you, yet you come to me." And Jesus answered, "This is necessary to fulfill all righteousness." So John agreed to baptize Jesus. When Jesus was baptized, he immediately came up out of the water, and heaven opened to him. And he saw the Spirit of God coming down like a dove and resting on him. A voice from heaven said, "This is my beloved, my child. I find happiness in him." May these words be a blessing to us today.
Let's sing together the hymn, "The Sun at High Noon." It's in your insert, And let's rise in body or spirit and join in song.
The sun that I knew, the stars in dark space, the light of the moon, the each upturned face, the lifeless, the ringlets, the larks all alive. We gaze up in wonder above to the sky. The green grassy lake, the grasshopper's sound, the creatures of shade that live in the ground, the dark soil, the moist soil, where plants spring to birth. We look down and wonder below in the earth. The glad joys that heal, the tears in our eyes, the longings we feel, the light of surprise, our night dreams, our daydreams, our thoughts ranging wide. We live with the whole world of wonder inside.
I want to thank Reverend Sean Dennison for inviting me to be your guest today. I want to thank also Kate and Walter and Sean and Allison and Bob and the whole team today for your welcome and for making it so easy to be a guest. I'm really delighted to be with you. I have been in the community here for about 7 years now. I've been a minister, ordained minister in the United Church of Christ about 17 years, and this last year transitioning to more of a community chaplain, a hospice chaplain and a chaplain supporting folks recovering from disaster. So it is a treat to be here. Reverend Sean specifically asked me if I could speak a little bit about my book, which came out in late 2021. So this is a little bit of a mashup of a sermon or sharing and a book talk. In a book talk, I would normally invite you to ask questions, and that might mean we're here longer than people had planned given their brunch dates. So I will be sharing excerpts from the book, but if you'd like to ask questions or visit a little bit afterward, I'll be back there under the balcony. And my wonderful assistant Cameron will also be there. If you'd like to buy a book, or you'd like a book signed, or you just want to talk a little bit more about the theme and subject, we'll be back there, and Cameron especially, he'd be happy to help you. It helps to have more hands. So I will be back there. You can jot down questions as you have them. One reason I love that poem, Golden Fuzz by Tang Hai Lai, is because it portrays body hair as a source of joy. In a culture where body hair is not often a source of joy, and happiness. Am I right, or is that just me? We human beings don't always, in fact, smile when we think about our bodies. There are lots of reasons for that, but our religious and spiritual formation plays a large role in how we regard human bodies, our own bodies, and other people's bodies. So part of why I wrote Loving What Doesn't Last was to plumb the depths of that more deeply. I kind of had a hunch that it didn't have to be this way, and I wanted to investigate that for myself, what shaped and formed how I treat my body, and for our religious communities, especially my own tradition, which is Christianity. I had you might say, a gut feeling. So the first excerpt I'll read from the book comes from Listen to Your Gut. Runners will run for any of the body's ailing parts, especially to earn a free t-shirt. Collectively, each summer, Americans race to cure them all: diabetes, pancreatic cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer. I am unsure how much progress we make this way. Someone I love once ran a race sponsored by the Colon Cancer Coalition, and among the usual entertainments at the finish line sat a giant section of the human colon, complete with malignant polyps and Crohn's ulcers crafted of foam, red netting, and paint. Walking through the 10 by 10 foot, 150-pound excretory tunnel was supposed to entice people to schedule that colonoscopy. I have no data on whether that strategy worked. The giant inflatable colon did make headlines, though, when it was stolen from a driveway in Missouri in October of 2018. It was mentioned online almost 1,000 times and gave birth to the stolen colon hashtag. Shared more than 6,500 times on Twitter. Some folks jumped into action. Medical technology and pharmaceutical companies, they raised funds for 2 replacements before the sponsoring organization announced with relief that the stolen colon had been found in an abandoned house. And in the end, everything came out okay. If you only knew the puns I was withholding. My family may be more obsessed with our gastrointestinal systems than most, because my paternal grandfather died from advanced colon cancer, which was already stage 4 when doctors discovered it. His bedtime snack of 2 dried prunes was our only clue. He liked his beech nut chewing tobacco, so there's that. Our gut consciousness may go deeper than drawing tobacco, juice, and spitting, however. So much neurological function occurs within its folds that the human intestinal tract could be a second brain. When a friend first tried to convince me of this, I rolled my eyes, given not only my grandfather's, but my father's, my own digestive history, though I had to look it up. I found the human gut is lined with more than 100 million nerve cells. I might have learned in grade school that the digestive tract releases hormones into the bloodstream, little signals that give us messages about fullness or hunger, with a roughly 10-minute lag time. But more recent research shows the intestines have a direct line to the vagus nerve through a neural circuit that can send information in seconds. A few feet distant from the brain at most, my gut apparently had its own Wi-Fi. For decades now, I'm afraid it too often flashed the warning, your connection is unstable. Why was my own connection unstable? Why is any of ours? It bothered me and it bothers me. I found a kindred spirit in author and poet Suzanne Roberts. In her book, Animal Bodies, she writes a brilliant and side-splittingly funny essay about her spouse's colonoscopy. I highly recommend. It's called Rites of Passage. But to quote her, the parts of our bodies that betray our animal natures and remind us of our animal bodies, the locations of procreation and excretion, are off-limit topics in polite conversation. We deny the most natural parts of ourselves, our hungers or our desires, our vulnerabilities and frailties, even our grief. Why do we do that? I share some of the mentors and guides who've helped me along this journey, trying to figure out why we do this in the book, and I quote one of them in particular in the chapter Ally. Relationships with our bodies are social, political, and economic inheritances. Sonia Renee Taylor writes, "In The Body is Not an Apology." And as I was learning from her and others, I added, these are religious inheritances too. Whenever and wherever we've been taught to fear, control, and absorb abuse in these bodies, we've been acclimated and trained to fear, control, and accept the abuse of other bodies, not our own. I don't believe the religion of Jesus divided body from spirit, split the self from the soul, or the soul from the whole, the material from the spiritual, or condemn the carnal in ways that centuries of Christians would go on to do. A rabbi notorious for hanging out with sex workers and people suffering from seeping communicable diseases clearly wasn't put off by body fluids. Jesus could pull a parable from the organic experiences of gastrointestinal digestion, defecation, or make inside jokes about impotence and levirate marriage. Maybe the religion's first and loudest interpreter, that zealous Saul turned Paul, got a little hot and bothered by long-haired women. There is a passage about that. More likely some local fertility cult he associated with the long hair. But even at 13, I suspected Jesus didn't care whether the girls on my Christian middle school basketball cheerleading squad showed the skin of our knees. I'm not making that up. For all away games, my 8th grade year, we wore white lace-ankled tights beneath our blue and white cheer skirts, and we called them skins. They were designed to keep us from showing any. It also kept us from feeling the rush of the air as 2 teams of sinewy adolescent boys leapt and flew down the court. My one-season foray into cheerleading was a short-lived experiment in identity. I liked the screaming and shouting part, but preferred to feel the rushing air on my own skin. I teach myself a little more each year how to enjoy the skin I am in and to honor how it feels. Religion has been and will continue to be either a harm or a help. And it's in those places where it treats how we eat or drink, when it accepts that we experience both pleasure and pain, that we are born and sometimes reborn, where our religious rituals help us most see that. My favorite parts of my own religion, Christianity, are the parts that not only accept our animal bodies, but treat them with reverence, as portals to all that is holy. And baptism is one of those examples. It still amazes me that one of our central stories is this Jesus going down into the water to get dunked. And that when he comes back up, he hears this message of love and delight. Across the centuries of making meaning from this multivalent sacrament, washing away the bad is only one stream. There are also those waters of primordial creation, the waters divided to make a way out of slavery, and of course those womb waters of birth, water that seals a blessing that names us beloved. Before we've done a single thing, we are bathed in the waters of love. When I get the chance to bless and welcome a body into the family of Jesus these days, I like to invite children and elders alike to crowd close around the font. And then I pour the water so liberally and enthusiastically it splashes onlookers too. Depending on their age, that shock comes mostly as delight. People actually get wet. The littlest ones shriek and jump back, extending their arms in front of themselves to receive the gift, their mouths open and eyes alive like those hot days jumping through waterfalls made by a water hose in the yard. Near the end of The People of the Book, Geraldine Brooks's fictional story of the Sarajevo Haggadah, a young Jewish girl wades into a body of water with her infant nephew in her arms. Her brother had converted to Christianity to marry, and yet it didn't save him from torture and murder by the Spanish Inquisition. The young woman holds the infant in the water for a moment and then pushes him under and lets go. I thought at first she had drowned him. But in the next beat, it becomes clear that this isn't a death. It's a rebirth. Her release is only momentary. Using the sea as a convert's mikvah, the requisite living water, she reclaims the baby boy's Jewish heritage and faith. He is reborn through the water, reconnected to the story of the people liberated and led out of slavery through the Red Sea. Perhaps this is why in the Eastern Church, the big epiphany is not about the magi, the wise ones who wander to find an infant monarch beneath a celestial anomaly, but that moment, both ordinary and extraordinary, when Jesus rises out of the river water like everyone else to be marked with essential blessing, to hear those words, "You are my child, the beloved. In you I find happiness." We need a rebirth when it comes to our relationship with our bodies. Because we humans do not feel that happiness in every body. And because we humans do not treat every body with that same awe and delight. Passages in my book are not as delightful and funny as the one about intestines, or about my uncle's magazines. That's a good chapter too. Some of them plumb the depths of our grief and pain. This one is called baptism. What civil religion can capture the feeling of kneeling in a funeral chapel dusty from months of disuse, kneeling 8 or 10 feet back from the cardboard box, to keep the pandemically required distance and also to respect the 6-foot-tall 19-year-old whose body rested finally on the gurney, his filleted insides duly investigated by the coroner, now contained in a zippered orange bag. The white mortuary manager insisted too many times his mother did not want to see him that way and still remained wrong. A mother herself, even Mary, needed to caress the flesh she had carried inside, knitted together herself with aromatic oil and tenderness. So the women went with her, carrying spices and ointments, removed the lid, unzipped the bag, sang to the Father and the Son in French while anointing him head to foot, that the last words spoken over his blood and bone before they burned might be love, and not turn that damn music down. When we behold the human body with love, with awe, with devotion, we cannot help but become more acutely aware of our connection with every created thing, with all of the planets and all the life on it, with, I believe, God's own being, that divine presence. These bodies are the doorway. Our animal bodies, to use Suzanne Roberts' words. I'll close with a quote from Cole Arthur Riley, who has recently published a similar exploration of being a person in a body in this world, but from a very different perspective as a young Black woman in this world. She writes, "To be able to marvel at the face of our neighbor with the same awe we have for the mountaintop, the sunlight refracting, this manner of vision is what will keep us from destroying each other. May it be so in our lives, in our community, and our world this week." Thank you.
Each week, we take an offering to support the mission and work of our congregation. On the third Sunday of each month, we give this offering to an agency or organization in the community that we feel embodies our mission and principles in the real world. Today, that organization is Uniting for Ukraine. Here to talk about their work is their director, Scott Vanderoff.
Hi. Ooh, that's loud. Good morning. My name is Scott Vanderoff. As Kate said, I'm the director of Uniting for Ukraine Rogue Valley. Uniting for Ukraine is a government program, so the Rogue Valley part is important. And I'm here to talk to you about one of your principles, which is engaging in the work. So I started this organization shortly after the war broke out last spring because I wanted to do more than write a check. I just felt like it was an atrocious situation and I needed to do something, and I had the opportunity to sponsor and house a family from Ukraine. And I thought, well, if I want to do this, there's got to be other people in the valley who want to do this. And thus the organization was born. I have a steering committee that helps me bring this into fruition. We have 9 families here now. Tonight I will buy a plane ticket for a 10th 21-year-old woman who's going to come over, who will actually be living with me. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to be able to provide this safe refuge for these folks. I mean, without exception, they have been through tremendous trauma. and go through that on a daily basis with family members still in Ukraine, some of them fighting. It's a horrendous situation, and just feel very fortunate that we can give them a different experience. And one of my goals all along was to create community, and we really have done that. They're pretty well connected. We have some somewhat regular gatherings, so they get to feel that connection. We also have a English program that meets 4 days a week, which many of them are involved in, a beginner and intermediate class, so they get to connect there as well. They're all really grateful, proud people. They are not very comfortable with the support that they are given, although certainly grateful for it, and they really want to get working. So that's one of the things that you as a community could do. If you know of situations where they could be employed, that would be fantastic. For most of the time that folks have been here, that was under the table because the government in its wisdom can get them here very quickly. We can get them here in a week or two, get their visas, and then proceed to get them plane tickets and things. But their work permits took like 6 months, and now there's a new program or a new regulation that gives them a 90-day work permit so they can work legally while they're waiting for that to come through. What else do I want to tell you? I'm down to 1 minute already, so I better go quick. How else you can help? We are limited. Our steering committee, we had a retreat last Sunday, and we decided that we do want to continue to bring families. Our original goal was 6 to 8 families, and we're practically at 10. But we want to continue. But we don't have any more host families, so we can't bring anybody. And I have got about a 4-person wait list, 4-family wait list of people who would like to come. So if you're willing to host or know anybody that would, that doesn't have to be an overly involved situation. We have several people who are in garage apartments or ADUs. An RV might even be a possibility, and we provide every family with a support team so that it doesn't fall on the host alone to support these folks, but there's lots of hands helping with that. Financially, there's no commitment. We have raised quite a bit of money and can support the effort financially if you decide to take in a family. We also need people to volunteer to be on these support teams, so if that is of interest to you, it's not a lot of work. There's 3 families generally to each support team. Team captain who coordinates what their needs are, which would be potentially a ride to go shopping or a ride to a doctor's appointment, something like that. Frequent flyer miles, if you have frequent flyer miles, especially United, that works really well coming out of Poland. It saves us a lot of money because it's $1,200 to $1,500 per person to get somebody over here. So a family of 4, $6,000, that cuts into our budget pretty quickly. Let's see, Ben Stotts, acupuncturist, local acupuncturist, here in Ashland, just spent 2 months in Ukraine. He's going to be giving a talk at 7 o'clock on Thursday. If you're, I see he's here. If you're interested in learning more about Ukraine and what you can do for the situation over there, he's going to have slides and a film and be talking about his experiences and insights over there. Okay, employment host. One way that we can bring more families is if a congregation supports that effort. The Presbyterian Church has basically adopted a family, so they provide all the support. The Universalist Church on Morton has given a family a house, and they're getting more and more involved in the support of them. So if your congregation was interested in taking on a family, that would be wonderful. And we're going to be doing more outreach for that in the coming months because that will really allow us to take in more families without stretching our resources so thin. And I mean people resources. This is like 20 to 30 hours a week for me on top of being a psychologist in private practice. So I'm looking to spread out the load. Thank you so much for having me and for honoring us with your donations today. We really appreciate it. If you want more information, Uniting for Ukraine RV for Rogue Valley, unitingforukrainerv.org. And please come to Ben's talk on Thursday evening if you're available from 7 to 8:30. It's at the Havara. The Havara has sponsored this effort for us, so all donations can be tax deductible through the 501c3 of the Havara. Thank you. And I'll be here after for questions.
To give to Uniting for Ukraine, if you are here in the Great Hall, there are baskets in the foyer where you can leave your gift. If you are online, you can go to the donation page at www.unitingforukraine.org, or you can send a check to Ruth at 87 4th Street, Ashland, Oregon 97520, with third Sunday in the memo line. You can also use tinyurl.com/RVUUF offering run together and choose third Sunday in the memo. If you'd like to donate by text, please text $, the amount you'd like to give, and quote 3RD Son. Don't text the quote, 3RD Son, to 541-229-4229. Thank you so much for your generosity, which truly makes a difference in the world.
Let's sing together, and I invite you to come sing a song with me. It's on your insert. Let's rise in body or spirit.
Bless to us, Holy One, this earth beneath our feet. Bless to us, Holy One, the paths on which we go. Bless to us, Holy One, the people whom we meet. Bless to us this life we live in these bodies, that we might bless each other we encounter on the way. Let us go out in peace.